Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk about technology services in India. The COVID crisis has been a blessing to the industry. Whether in our personal lives or business, for the first time, we have consumed a lot more technology, whether we have used e-commerce, whether using technology in education, health, banking, entertainment, both consumers and businesses have been forced by this crisis to adopt technology. And that way, the COVID crisis has been an accelerator to technology adoption. Often the question that comes with IT services, and it's an argument I've heard, many years ago, that this is a mature industry, this is a sunset industry. However, if you look at the data, you would arrive at a very, very different conclusion. If you look at the Indian IT services industry, it's $150 billion in revenue, has grown at 11.5% dollar CAGR, 3.6 times in the past decade. You have five companies with revenues over $8 billion. And by the way, they operate in one of the most globally competitive industries in the world. Indian IT services companies over the last decade have expanded their market share from 6.6% to 11.6%. And they've taken market share from American companies and European companies like IBM, DXC, Capgemini. When I was looking at technology 15 years ago, it was difficult to believe that Indian IT services can beat the like of IBM or HP or Capgemini. But today that is true. We often forget how strong India is in technology. When you look at the global ER&D centers that get set up globally, in 2019, 47% of those global centers were set up in India. Global companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, outside of US have the largest technical setups in India. No wonder companies like Google, Microsoft, or Adobe, some of the best tech companies in the world, have Indian CEOs. So clearly, this is an industry that has a long runway to grow. Remember, this industry, even at current scale, we only have 11.6% market share. So clearly, the industry is $1.3 trillion and still growing at 6% faster than the global GDP. So clearly, there's a very large room to play for Indian companies. Often we fail to appreciate that the companies like TCS or Infosys are among the top three best run IT services companies in the world. So clearly, and we have a lot of trends that favor technology sectors and changes are happening in technology sector. We're seeing significant adoption of cloud computing, and that itself will lead to a lot of apps modernization. Businesses have to deliver now customer experience on apps. So digital experiences for business have to improve. Every business physical has to have an omni-channel now. And clearly there's threat of cybersecurity. And of course, data has become super critical and there are sensors in everywhere. So clearly the use of data analytics is growing. And of course, this big trend of work from home is helping Indian IT services simply because it doesn't matter today. If you're working from home, whether you have a house in New York or in Bangalore, how does it matter? Because you're not physically present. So Indian technology services industry is well positioned. Most large companies are looking at double-digit growth. And mind you, these are dollar growths. If you adjust for long-term rupee depreciation, which on average has been 3 to 3.5%, the large IT services companies will grow at 15, 16% on rupee terms. And then you have mid-cap, some of the mid-cap companies, which potentially can grow at 20% a year. And I would like to say the quote by Satya Nadella, that he said that 2 months after COVID happened, that 2 months of COVID has accelerated digital adoption by 2 years. Even now, the COVID is going on. The longer this crisis lasts, the faster the technology adoption is going to happen. And as recently the TCS CEO Rajesh Gopinathan said in an interview, that whatever the problem was in the last few years, technology was the solution. Coming to our portfolio companies, in terms of what has, one of the companies that we own in our portfolio is a company called Coforge. A lot of you know by its old name, NIT Technologies. It's got rebranded after Bearings. It got acquired by Bearings Private Equity. Now, Coforge is a classic case of the difference between stock picking and macro investing, what Prashant talked about. How macro themes can make you make large errors. This is the reason for that is at the start of the year, Coforge had 30% revenues coming from travel and transport. Half of that came from airlines. So frankly, this was the worst positioned technology services company out of India. 15% revenue from airlines, which just in the June quarter fell by 60%, despite the fact that Coforge actually gained market share in airline business. So they're exposed to the most difficult industry, and yet Coforge has been one of the best performing stocks in 2020. Why is that? This is because this company has very strong capabilities in insurance, 30% of the revenues. They have very strong technology platform where they gain a lot of business. They've also gained a lot of new orders in BFS space and also new verticals that they are building in high tech and life sciences. This company had seen a management change 3 years ago when Sudhir Singh had joined, and he was able to bring A-class talent from top technology companies. And today it's a completely transformed companies. And it's our focus on the micro aspects of the business helped us, stay invested, and it has been one of the best performing technology companies. The other technology company in our portfolio, which is again very different from traditional technology, is L&T Technology Services. How is L&T Technology Services different? L&T Technology Services provides engineering and R&D solutions. They don't provide traditional solutions to banks to run their IT platforms. They actually help to design, entertainment systems in aircraft. They help to design electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, semiconductor chip, gas plants, specialty chemical plants. So very different capability. Frankly, the best engineering capability of L&T, which we all know is the best engineering company in India. So the best capability of L&T has been housed in this company, catering to the global markets. And today, L&T Technology Services, has out of the top 100 R&D spenders in the world, has 50 of them as customers. This is a significantly underpenetrated market than even IT services. And L&T Technology Services, in terms of capabilities, is among the top 3 in the world. So clearly, this is one of those companies that has a very large runway to grow, very deep capabilities, a management that's clearly aligned, and we are very, and it remains an important position in our portfolio. I have a lot to talk about technology, but in the interest of time, I'll stop here. Thank you, everyone.